So we will begin today's meditation and contemplation session, which is a first deep inner prayer to whatever form of divine, whatever form of God that we can relate to, and ask for their blessings, ask for their presence. So then we can get into a simple meditation, and during this meditation period, we can just focus on the breath to start with. Those who are comfortable with focusing the breath, we can just try to use some simple kind of technique, either counting the breath, or we can do a practice such as Hangsa, Soham, any of the practice that we are comfortable with. The idea is to bring that mind into a state of quietness, into a state of calmness. Not looking here necessarily for any kind of a spiritual experience, but we are trying to focus the mind so that the mind and the intellect can come together for our contemplation. Now we will make a gentle transition from that state of dhyana or dharana to that state of doing manana and nididhyasana. So for this, we can continue to be seated as we are. If we want, we can relax a little bit physically, but as much as possible, we should maintain some posture. But what we are making the switch is to relax the mind from that one pointed focus on the breath or any object, such as the mantra. And we introduce a thought, a vritti, which is in line with our swadhyaya or our shravanam. The words that we have heard from the scriptures and those that we have done studies on, which we have intellectually or theoretically got some conceptual understanding about, that we will introduce now slowly in our mind and hold the mind within the range of those thoughts only. So it's a balanced way of holding the mind with some focus within the range of the thoughts we are going to be contemplating about, and yet giving it a little bit of a loose thread, leash, to wander around within that range. So the first thought we will introduce is from the Isha Upanishad, the very first mantra, which says, Ishavasyam idagum sarvam, yatkincha jagatyam jagat. Everything that is in this world, in this universe, is pervaded, is enveloped by the Lord. That divine presence permeates, covers everything. And as we know that Lord is the very self of our being. So this Jagat is also nothing but that self, is that Paramatman, that Atman, that Ishvara. So anything that comes into our range of knowing in the mind as an object is the very nature of that subject itself. That one Ishvara permeates this world as Kshara and Akshara, as that changing being and that unchanging being. As that which moves and that which is motionless. So let us try to see if we can rise beyond our identification with the world, with objects, to that very thing that is in ourself, in our being, within our heart, that which we don't need to reach through some kind of a technique, some kind of a thought control. It's the very essence in everything. And the best way to know it is this very knowingness itself. That through which we know everything. The essence of that knowing is that Atman Paramatman. So without this knowingness, there is nothing that we can know. So this, in a sense, is the closest and easiest way to realize that Ishavasya Idam Sarvam. Everything is nothing but this essential beingness. And yet there is a certain divine presence to that. The objective sense-based experience of that, and that pure knowingness. That pure knowingness is divine because it is not tainted by our likes and dislikes, raga dvesha. So tena tyaktena punjita magradakasya smitanam. So let go of all those identification, that attraction, that repulsion that we feel towards objects. How do we let go? By just recognizing that knowingness is pure. It's not a physical letting go, but it is just recognizing. And that is the power of Mananam, that is the power of our knowledge, that when we know, we don't need to do anything. So we remain in the state of beingness. Within us is that pure beingness. that beingness manifests as these objects of the world and yet remains pure. Tad Tadhejati, Tannejati, Tadhure, Tadvantike, Tadantarasya Sarvasya, Tadu Sarvasyasya Bhavyataha. It is moving, just like how when we were doing the meditation on the breath moves. But yet it is motionless because that awareness of that breath doesn't move. In all that is changing and moving, that changeless presence, that divinity is pure and untainted. Tadantarasya sarvasya, it is right within us. We can just gently see whatever is happening in our experience now. We may be hearing some things, we may be thinking some things. Whatever comes, we don't try to fight that, but we gently try to bring in this knowledge that all this is happening in that presence. And instead of flooding our memories, our thoughts and feelings, we bring our attention back again to know that everything is moving, our thoughts, our breath, our feelings, but yet that essential nature of our awareness remains pure, untainted. That is the essence of our real seeking, that joy that we seek, that peace, that happiness which we seek. Knowing this pure nature of Isha, the divine, that one who is worshipped as the God, the Paramatma, is that pure beingness, Atman, in ourselves. This knowingness is the means of all freedom from sorrows, delusion. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmanyeva bhutvijanataha tatra ko moha kashoka ekatvam anupashyataha. So when we see this oneness, that divine being whom we worship, that pure divinity that is the essence of everything that exists or that appears to exist, is this very beingness of self, Atman, Paramatman. This oneness, this true vision of oneness, the Upanishad says, is the means for freedom from all sorrow and for breaking us from all delusions. As the mind moves into duality and splits things into subject and object, this knowingness is what brings us back to this non-duality of oneness. Recognizing this knowingness is what we are doing with Mananam and Nididhyasanam. Removing our sense of doubt, skepticism, and being lost in this duality. We bring that attention to recognize that oneness. Every thought that comes to us, every feeling, every memory, it's all from the basis of this awareness. So when we go to that essential source or the root of all thought, all feeling, we find that there is only this one presence. Just as how we are that one presence in our waking, dreaming, and sleep, similarly in all our thoughts, in all our feelings and memories, there is just that one presence. If we can learn to place our attention more and more on that, then we come to that sense of inner peace and security, which is the result, or which is the objective of all our pursuits. Saparyagat Shukra Makaya Vabrunam Asnaviragam Shuddham Apapavidam. So this is pure, this is free beyond that three bodies of physical, subtle, and causal bodies. That Atman Paramatman is that omnipresent being, all-seeing, transcendental, Kavir Manishi, Parabhu Swayambhu. It is that transcendent, and yet it is that very immanent thing. It is beyond everything as Nirguna, and yet it pervades everything as that Saguna. So right here, right now, when we realize that, and we don't have to anymore look for it anywhere. It's right here within our beingness. It is the very essence of ourselves. So just last couple of minutes, you can just quietly contemplate on that, and we'll say our closing prayer. So for the final minute, let can express a sense of gratitude for all the blessings, all that divine beingness. And we can also say a gentle prayer of well-beingness, of this divine realization for all beings. Just as how we want to be free from all suffering, we can wish that may all beings be free from all suffering. And may they realize this true nature of their being. Say a closing Shanti mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.